Hello, my name is Gore. I'm from Russia, but I live in France, and I'm very happy to see you here. It is so fucking hot in France right now, so I think I'm gonna be sweaty for the whole video, and I might die in the middle of it, so I'm so tired. Why doesn't France have air conditioning? Today I'm going to talk about a crazy story that happened to me when I traveled to Austria for Eurovision 2026. Basically, what happened is that I became famous in Israel accidentally. During the first semifinal, during the live show, when Israel was performing, I showed a Palestinian flag on my phone screen, and someone filmed me, posted it, and it became viral on the Israeli internet.
C'est parti, adieu ma belle. Je te laisse partir, mais
I think the post with me got almost like millions of views, something like that. It was huge. There were many comments. I was trying to read them at first, and they were mostly making fun of me because I was dancing to the song while protesting. And I get hate from both sides. I got hate from the Zionists. I got hate from pro-Palestinian people because I couldn't protest properly without dancing to the song. Actually, I didn't think that anything like that would happen because I realized that a phone is too small for a camera to catch it, but eventually someone filmed me and we have what we have. I didn't have an intention to become viral for that. I don't really like performative activism, but back then I just wanted to do that. I was quite upset by the fact that Israel participates in Eurovision, about the fact that my favorite contest in the whole entire fucking world is just transforming into some political circus where there is no common sense, where Russia is banned for committing war crimes and Israel is not banned for committing war crimes. But then I realized that despite not having any intention to be shown anywhere, I had a different and very important message that almost nobody understood, unfortunately. I was actually trying to protest against all the horrible things that the state of Israel is doing right now without targeting the artist himself and without targeting Israelis. Of course, you might say that, oh, you're trying to have fun when his country is committing genocide, when his country is committing war crimes. I was moving with the beat only because it's my normal thing to do. Even if I don't like the song, I will move. I always move when I hear something with the rhythm. It wasn't intentional. It wasn't because I liked this song or I supported this country, because I had the fucking Palestinian flag with me. But I think the message was created only after this happened. Everything that happened afterwards was a very unique experience. I met so many Israelis that were so nice and so kind, and they didn't support their government and what it was doing. So I wanted to tell not only about what happened there with me with this flag, but I also want to share with you my very important message that I found myself while being in Austria, in Vienna, and meeting all these Israelis, because I think we're forgetting a very important thing, that we're all human, and it's very important to communicate with people and try to understand them and not forget that there are good and bad people everywhere, in Israel as well. So I'm not here to prove anything. I'm not here to have a political debate about Israel's war crimes. And if you support Israel, well, that's bad for you, but I don't care. You can turn off this video or write a comment how much you hate me. And also don't forget to pink wash your comment, because I know that after my first video about being gay in Russia, there are many gay people following me. So if there are some gay Zionists who follow me, don't forget to tell me that Hamas would throw me off the roof in Gaza. And also don't forget to invite me to Tel Aviv Pride. I think at some point your arguments might actually change my mind. Yeah, they're so convincing. After seeing everything that's happening in West Bank, I'm not even talking about Gaza, I realized that there is no justification to what Israel is doing. So at this point, I don't even want to argue, because it's impossible to argue with those people who can justify it. After seeing the footage of this amazing guy, he's also Russian, by the way, he came to Israel to get Israeli passport, but then he realized what he signed up for. I think that it's a must to see what he's posting. We can frame the actions of Israel in Gaza, this genocide that's happening there, differently. We can frame it as something very horrible and unjustifiable, but we can also justify it because of Hamas and its actions and human shields and so on, all that bullshit, all that crap. We can use that and pretend that it's working, because these arguments, they are convincing to a lot of people. But if we're looking at West Bank, I have no justification for that. Not even the strongest justifications of the settlers who are going there and throwing stones at people and trying to get rid of them from that region. Even those arguments aren't working enough. That's just horrible, disgusting. I don't understand how that can be justified and how Israeli government can support those people and do nothing in order to fight those awful things. Israel is not even trying to hide its crimes, it's trying to justify them. I don't think those things are justifiable. I don't think there can be anything to justify that. But I'm not gonna make the whole video about that. I want to talk about Eurovision, the Israelis I met there, and my experience and everything. So yeah, stay tuned. Also, some people might condemn me for supporting Eurovision and for going there and for spending my money on Eurovision. I just want to make a point, very important point, that Eurovision doesn't belong to the EBU. Eurovision belongs to Eurofans because we made a lot for this contest to exist and to thrive and to be as successful as it is. And I really love this community. In my darkest times, it really helped me a lot and it's continuing to help me. I condemn the organizers. I condemn those people who are making this contest a fucking hell because of all the drama with Israel's participation. I think all the countries that are aggressors at war must be excluded from Eurovision because in Eurovision they participate under flags, under national symbols. Flags are extremely political. So there is strong connection with the actions of the country and its government. So I think that those political symbols must be removed at least. And also Israel has been using Eurovision for its political propaganda also. And I really hope that the Eurofans continue to advocate for Israel's removal from Eurovision. That's our duty because we want to save our contest. We want it to continue to live properly without all the Zionist bullshit. I saw lots of Israelis during Eurovision, especially when I was in line to the first semi-final. Some of them were quiet and I just understood they were from Israel because I saw their passports that they were showing to the security guards, and also they were speaking Hebrew. Some of them were quite clowny, I would say, because they were wearing some outfits that were made of multiple Israeli flags and they were showing their nationalism very loudly. And I just hate that no matter what country you come from. There were many Israelis who didn't support what was happening in Palestine. But despite that, I noticed that some of them were still using the Israeli flag, and I don't understand that. I, as a Russian person, cannot imagine myself wearing and being with the Russian flag because it's a highly political symbol, represents the state, which is a terrorist state right now. Russia is a terrorist state, and Israel is also a terrorist state. And that's why I don't understand why Israelis who don't support their government, they still use this flag because it is even a more political symbol than Russian flag, because Russian flag is just 3 stripes, but the flag of Israel has David Star, which is a religious symbol. It symbolizes the fact that one religion, one nation is superior over another one. That's why I don't really understand why they think they can do that and why they don't make a different flag or maybe use the Palestinian flag. Initially, I had a lot of internal prejudice towards Israelis. I was afraid of them because I didn't want to have any political arguments if I interact with them. During Eurovision, you interact with everyone around you, so I was quite uncomfortable sometimes. But now I realize that this prejudice wasn't really necessary, and it was wrong to think that all of them are Zionists, all of them are crazy. I mean, some of them were crazy. And I, as a Russian, should also understand what they're going through because I also experienced a lot of prejudice towards myself. After that, I met the Israelis who were very chill. This prejudice disappeared. Next day, when I was in Eurovision Village, I was in line for something. I saw an Israeli girl there. And then some guy in the line, he heard that they were speaking Hebrew. He said Free Palestine or something like that. And this girl, he got very upset. And she said that, oh, I'm a peace activist, actually. I didn't serve in the army. She started defending herself. It really touched me because I also feel the same as a Russian. Sometimes people think that I support the actions of my government, of my country, only because I'm Russian, even though they don't have any other clues that might indicate that I support my country and support Putin. And I felt really horrible for her because she seemed like a very nice person. And she also mentioned that she was a peace activist, so I decided to approach her and talk to her. And we had a very deep conversation. I told her that I really understand her, I really understand what she's going through. And she also told me about her activism, how she got arrested for something by the Israeli police. It was a very cool experience because it reminded me that exists everywhere. I'm not sure about the exact movement she's a part of. Maybe it's just another form of distraction. I don't really want to study that and explore it because I don't want to get disappointed in that exact person. But there is resistance in Israel. And after Eurovision, I discovered lots of influencers who live in Israel, who live in Palestine, and who actually do very important things in terms of activism and resistance. And we should always remember that those people, they're the ones who are the closest to the regime, to the governments, to those who make the final decisions, and we should respect them and don't put them in the same group with those who are actually involved in the genocide. Israel is tricky because a lot of people they served in the army because it's mandatory for men and women. I would never be friends with someone who served in the Israeli army because I think you can refuse it, you can leave the country. There are options to avoid it. And if you cannot avoid it, if you cannot find a way, you're a weak person. So I'm really happy that those Israelis who I had met didn't serve in the army. I think that communication with her really changed my perception and helped me move on from that mindset that didn't really allow me to expand my interaction with the world. People who have prejudice towards me, they also exist, and sometimes I meet them and I feel very bad when someone thinks that I'm a bad person or they don't want to communicate with me only because I'm Russian, even before exploring me and my personality and my beliefs. I think I'm going to talk about my interaction with Ukrainians in a different video. I think it's a very important topic too. The next day, when I was standing in a line to the second semifinal, I also met some Israelis. At first, I saw two people. I wanted to have a conversation with them. I didn't understand that they were from Israel at first, but then I had this conversation. I realized that they were from Israel, and they showed me that video. One of them was like, "Oh, I think you got famous yesterday in Israel." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "You were the one with the Palestinian flag, right?" And I was like, oh my God. I'm sorry. I mean, I was confused at first. I said, I'm sorry, even though I think I should have not said that. But I did it anyway because I was really afraid of having some argument or confrontation. But they turned out to be very cool as well. They were like, oh no, we totally understand that. We support you. We don't like what our government is doing right now, neither. And I had a very big relief. And after that, we became friends and we were spending lots of time together. I started reading all the comments and I got really nervous because both sides, they didn't really like what I did. And no one understood the message that was created by the universe. It wasn't intentional, but I was trying to show love through that move, through that dance to the beat of the song. I didn't like the song. I don't view myself as a protester. I don't think that's the best protest ever. It was nothing compared to other things that people are doing right now. But I still find the message quite beautiful. I really loved what happened afterwards, how we managed to unite, how I managed to communicate with Israelis after that, and we were laughing about that, and we were reading all those comments. It was super fun. I don't think the artist himself is responsible for the action of his government. The main problem I have with the artist is that he accepted to participate under the Israeli flag. So it means he supports his government and he doesn't give a fuck about what's happening in Palestine. He's just another tool for Zionist propaganda that already transcends the Israeli government because there are many coalitions, there are many different parties, and I think that these horrible Zionist narratives, they don't end with the coalition of Netanyahu. And unfortunately, I think that lots of political parties that don't support the government of Netanyahu, they also support some other things. They support apartheid. The Israeli politics are quite confusing. So I don't think there is any hope for the near future. I feel bad for the artists who represent Israel in Eurovision because they don't understand what's happening. They don't understand the scale of tragedy and they're brainwashed. I feel sorry for every single brainwashed person because they don't take any important decisions. They are not involved in the political decision making, but they still are affected by that. And they act in a way that helps to preserve this system that is ruining lives of millions of people. So I both condemn this artist and feel sorry for him. I think we should be humans in this moment when everyone is being brainwashed, when people are being divided. I feel very sorry for all the far right people, for all the Zionists, for the racist people, because it's not them who are bad, it's their ideas that were put into their brain by someone and they're being used for greater purpose of a very evil force. So it's very important to have a dialogue. It's very important to look into the eyes of those people and maybe they will listen to you. Maybe you'll have a dialogue that might change something. I also remember that during the grand final when the Israeli participant was walking along the stage during the flag parade, I also put a Palestinian flag and I was like dancing and looking into his eyes, and he waved at me and he smiled. I think that he still is convinced that he's right, he's on the right side of history, but it's just important to have this dialogue. It's important to try to listen, but at the same time, your actions should not be in favor of those forces that commit genocides, that commit crimes, that kill people. But we should talk to them and we should confront them. And I think there are different ways we can do that. I think the aggressive methods of communication with far right people, fascists, Zionists, they're quite outdated, and maybe it's better to try something more respectful. Of course, I want to punch all the homophobes in their face because I hate their thoughts, I hate their life philosophy. But after some experience of going to some video chat roulette online, I realized that the only good conversations I had is when I was trying to be very calm, when I was trying to give love to the people who were being angry towards me, because I was sometimes doing that in drag. I was just talking to people, mostly Russians and Ukrainians, who were very homophobic towards me. I was trying to just tell them about my pain. I was trying to convince them that it's not wrong to be who I am. Of course, very few of them changed their mind or even tried to do that. Mostly they were just skipping me after a few minutes because they didn't want to continue this unfruitful conversation. But I think it was more helpful than just being angry and aggressive. Sometimes being angry is all right because some people might be crazy at a different level. But in terms of Israelis, well, yeah, I think we should start trying to have a conversation, because only if they understand that we listen to them, they will start listening to us. When I came to Lithuania, I got another proof that I was pretty viral in Israel, because some guys I've met there randomly, they were Israelis, and they were like, "Oh yeah, actually, we remember you. You made some tabloids in Israel. It was like a big thing." And it was like very funny because they were the first Zionists who I communicated with. Even despite the fact that they didn't like the government, they were like, "Oh, no, we don't support the government of Israel, don't support Netanyahu." But still, they were like, "Oh, there's no genocide in Gaza. There's no ethnic cleansing." It was very hard for me to stay calm in that conversation, but I eventually managed to do that, and I made my points, and I think they listened to me. I think this dialogue that we had was very important. Maybe not all of my arguments were very strong, but I think they eventually heard me, and they saw that a person that supports Palestine might be nice and might communicate with Israelis without thinking that they're all disgusting people. Some of them are, and some of Europeans are disgusting, some of Ukrainians are disgusting, some of Russians are disgusting, some of Americans are disgusting. They're very bad, very awful people among all the earthlings. But is our goal to kill them or to change them, or open their eyes, open their minds towards absorbing the truth and the pain that others feel because of their actions? I think the second option is the best one. That's the only option that might lead us towards victory, especially taking into account that lots of people who are brainwashed, they simply lack sources. They just don't want to try to observe relevant information. They don't want to compare sources. They don't want to challenge their opinions. I used to be a person who would support Israel because all those things that happened after Hamas attacked Israel in 2023, they were quite concerning, and it was like a big thing, and there were a lot of propaganda around that also. So I still condemned what Hamas did back then, and I don't like Hamas. It was something that was really strong, and I refused to challenge my opinions. I was pinkwashed. But then I started educating myself. I started listening to very cool political scientists, and I actually understood what this whole conflict is about. So it's very important to remind those people without spitting at them, without trying to punch them, what the truth is. Or maybe not the truth, because it's very expensive to state that you have access to truth. I don't think that all of the things I know about Israel and Palestine are true. Some of them might be fake, some of them might be propaganda, some of them might be something that was posted by someone who just wanted to achieve certain goals. I don't know. And that's why I'm questioning my beliefs every day. It's very important to question your own beliefs and the beliefs of the people around you. We must all engage in a dialectical conversation on a daily basis. Even if you think that there's one opinion that you identify more with, It's very important to try to defend an opposite opinion in a conversation in order for this conversation to become fruitful. Because only if we actually do that, we can achieve a very multi-level understanding of different issues. Tell me what you think in the comments. Don't forget to leave them. There might be a lot of people watching me who might disagree with me strongly, but I just want us to engage in a very respectful conversation. That's the whole point of this video. That's the whole point, that we should actually unite with our enemy in order to get rid of our enemy. Aggressive behavior, toxic behavior produces more people who will oppose you. So yeah, thank you for watching. Follow me on Instagram. Don't forget to watch my next video. Bye.